Happy New Year. We are live. Welcome to our first destination training of 2025 and seemingly between 24 and 25. Adam and I, who are sitting here in a conference room at 4HQ, have forgotten how to do this. So hang in there. We're all a little punchy today and are excited to talk about wellness travel. Why are we talking about wellness travel? Well, do you see how tired I look on this video? Well, that's because I just had the holidays and I took my kids to Baha Mar, and that was super fun for them and super fun for me too. Like, not restful at all. People come back from the holidays and they all have the same thing where they go, "Oh my God, like I look like I need a little bit of rejuvenation." So what we see in our data is this right now is going to become the biggest booking time for wellness. And that can be anything from, and again, we're going to cover this in the training, all the different varieties of wellness, but anything from something that's more like really sort of traditional detoxy to just places that are more sort of active, get yourself moving. But what happens is people come back from the holidays and they're feeling that need to like, let me just like do something for myself. And they tend to travel January, February, March. So wellness is something all year round. Obviously, this is a huge trend regardless, but it is in particular a time where they are booking right now. So that is why we wanted to talk about it today to get you guys ready. Let's see, what are we going to cover? Marketing materials, why wellness travel, how long to stay. And then really what we're doing is instead of breaking this down into geographic areas, we're talking about different kinds. So fitness oriented, easy entry, I call them the gateway drugs to wellness, meta spas, city spas, and the really remote ones that are more sort of like off the grid, sort of really serious rejuvenation. Marketing materials, these will all be in your email afterwards so that you can actually flex what you've learned. I do think that's super important because, again, right now, this is something that everybody's thinking about in terms of booking. So show people that you learned about it, get them inspired. So you'll have your cheat sheet from here, your Instagram story or in-feed templates, the magic article, as well as the MailChimp template, and a shareable Google map. Google Maps can be a little funny because it's kind of all over the world. It's a little less helpful than in a city, but it's still good to just see where some of these places are because we know you guys are everywhere, your clients are everywhere. Why wellness travel? Well, it is that chance to like reset, detox. I think people are looking for, it's not just like self-care in a traditional, like I want, a facial, but it's more like I want to come back a better version of myself. And this is no longer something that is limited to just like, the traditional spa client, like the person who loves massages or the person who loves like green juice. This is now everybody. So you'll see couples, you'll see corporate retreats. I was at the Thompson in Atlanta for New Year's, and Hyatt actually has a whole meetings well-being thing now where they actually do at sort of places like Miraval and some of their wellness brands, they do meetings and incentives where they incorporate in Reiki and forest bathing and all of that. So it's also in corporate. Obviously, there are the individuals, there are the sort of less family, like, smaller children, but sort of the older, like the mother-daughter trip that are happening too. So really it's for everybody. How long are they going for? It totally depends. It can be as little as 2 days. It can be as much as 2 weeks or longer. It really depends on the person. Traditionally, I'm saying, like, see people, this is like a less than a week trip because often it's just hard for people to step away from their lives and do this. And if you tell a client, like, there's this amazing program, it's going to take you 3 weeks to do it, they're like, probably, especially if they're new coming to this, that's going to be hard. So usually people start with the more flexible itineraries and then might move into longer ones. What is new and noteworthy? Well, here's our top 5 booked wellness resorts. And as you can see, they're like all over the place. So Ranch Malibu, we're going to cover that in more like the fitness oriented one. Miraval, Total Gateway Drug, Shaw, Medi Spa, Four Seasons Hotel Westlake, City, and Como Shambhala. Como Shambhala is a place that it's in Bali, it's in Ubud. You don't have to go there for wellness. Lots of people just stay there because it's a beautiful hotel, but obviously the Como brand has great wellness. So people go there as well. So again, I think our top 5, it's funny, I didn't actually look at these before I got on. This is such a perfect example of how wellness is everything now. What is new? Shaw opened this past year in Mexico. And I remember they were building this pre-pandemic. So I was at Shaw in 2020. It was like one of my last trips before everything shut down. And they were saying, yeah, we're building in Mexico. And I was like, no one goes to Mexico to detox and like eat vegan food and not drink tequila. Well, they were ahead of it because yes, of course people will do that now because wellness is a much bigger trend and people can't always go to Alicante, which is where the original Shaw is in Spain. So that's there, is also on a really great reef. We'll cover that more later. Zero is the new wellness brand that Kersner, the people behind One and Only, have launched. And then the Ranch Hudson Valley. So Ranch Malibu, one of our top booked properties that's out in Malibu, they opened this year in Hudson Valley. So we can talk a little bit more about that later, but that's some of the new ones that we have seen happen recently. So let's start with the sort of fitness oriented wellness retreat. So these are people who I always say they're the type, they want to like work for their lunch. So they want to get out there, they want to be doing things. Often it's in a group setting, there's some community building out in nature. This is less about, I just want to like lie around and get a massage, less about like, I want to meditate, more about, I want to do things and be active. This also, I would say, is something, as long as I've been in travel, this was not such a thing before, and it has become such a thing now. I think we've all gotten more active probably over the last, 20 years that I've been doing this. Just as general travelers, we've gotten more active. But hotels have also really adapted to this. Like you'll see, it's like you go to a Holiday Inn Express, it's got a decent gym in it now. The way that we all, sort of incorporate fitness into our travels and into our lives has changed. And so hotels have changed as well. And this is something you can book really anyone at all into. Where are we staying? Let's start with one of the more oddly named resorts out there, Body Holiday. This is a place in St. Lucia it is a resort that is on a beach in St. Lucia. It has, great food, it has cocktails, but it also has a huge amount of fitness. It has boot camps, it has spinning, it's got the yoga classes. This is a place where you can go and sort of have that almost like if you're a member of Equinox and you're used to going to the gym in the morning and doing some classes, you can do that there at Body Holiday, and then you can have your afternoon on the beach. I haven't been, but every time I send clients, I'm like a little nervous about it. So I'm always really transparent. Like, look, I haven't been. And when you look online, it's like the name's a little bit funny and the rooms, I can't really tell. The feedback is so positive from this place. I'm actually dying to go do it myself. What is the one? Now, see, my brain is not on yet. There's one that was a Canyon Ranch in Miami that then became blanking on the name right now, the Carillon. And the Carillon is like this too, if you need something that's a little bit closer to home in Miami, where they have a lot of fitness classes, a lot like a really big fitness facility, but it's also still just a hotel. So ones to remember. Rancho La Puerta, this one has been around a little while. It is in Mexico, but you actually fly into San Diego and then they drive you down across the border. Really fantastic food, lots of fitness classes, lots of hiking. So even in the middle of the winter, obviously you can get out, go outside, be in the sunshine. Not a beach resort. This is a place for sort of being out in nature. And then the Ranch Malibu. Ranch Malibu, it is a 1 week program. So it's 6 nights. You check in, check out 6 nights later. And I am such a fan of it. I think you hear people talk about the ranch. It's like, oh, it's so difficult. Like they don't give you any food. And that is not true. The hikes, 2 or 4 hours. They do have coffee now. So I think it used to be a little bit more severe than it is these days. You can have a cup of coffee in the morning. The food is incredible. And because they've seen a lot more men coming into wellness, thank God, it's like all the marketing has always been to women. And you kind of feel bad for guys who are like, I'd like this too. Why isn't anybody talking to me? The ranch has really started to adapt to that. And they're saying, if you're some big guy coming in and you're like, this is not enough food for me, or like, honestly, I'm a huge eater. Like I qualify myself under big guy territory too when it comes to how I tackle my meals. They will give you more food. So this is not a place to starve you and make you miserable. It is a place to like really spend the week detoxing. There's massages every day. It is a wonderful spot, but it is a place to be active. This is not a place where you're just sitting around. So these are 4, if you add in the Carolina, Miami, places where you're going, and fitness is really the focus of these. And we love that. Easy entry, as I always say, the gateway drug. What is easy entry? Easy entry is like, I have not done this before. I'm curious about this kind of trip. You get a lot of this around this time of year, but like, I don't want to commit too much time or too much travel. Like it's hard for me to get away, but I kind of want to like try it out. So these are tending to be places that are a little bit easier to get to, that have a variety of activities. It's not all just one thing, or it's not too prescriptive, which you get with some of the other places where it's like, nope, but we hike every morning. More of a place where you can like dabble, you can choose what's right for you. And that really they have a staff that's good at helping you figure out what's going to be the right way for you to spend your time there. Who to book. So not the younger kind of families, but again, great for the teenage or the college age kids going with a parent or even a grandparent. Multi-gen groups as they're getting older. This is a great place where, because it's flexible, you can have somebody who wants, a hardcore boot camp class and somebody who like wants to go to a sound bowl healing class. corporate teams are doing more and more of this. So whether you're a newcomer to wellness or you're somebody who likes this, but you're traveling with somebody who is not so into it, these are great options. Where? Canyon Ranch. Canyon Ranch is, let's just like address the elephant in the room. Where's the drinks at the end of the day? Easy entry places tend to be a little bit more flexible about alcohol because for a certain kind of traveler, they're like, wait, vacation and I can't like have a glass of wine at sunset. That doesn't sound very vacation-y to me. So these are places that tend to be a little bit more flexible. We'll start with Canyon Ranch. Canyon Ranch has no alcohol served in their restaurants because for a lot of people who want to have the detox, they don't want to be like, but I see the person at the next table has a beer and now I want it. But Canyon Ranch, you actually can bring alcohol into your room. So we've had things where it's like sort of a wellness oriented bachelorette party and they're like doing all the healthy stuff, but then they have a little cocktail party in their room. That's fine. But Canyon Ranch lets you sort of get into that detoxy, but not without some sort of flexibility and just a real variety of activities. I know a friend of mine did this one specifically in Tucson with her husband, and she said it was one of the best trips they'd ever had together as a couple. During the day, they were separately going out. She wanted to do different things than he wanted to do, but then they had this great food. They felt so good. So great for everybody. Euphoria. This is in Greece. Great for a European customer because I wanted to include some of that for all of the advisors or advisors with clients who are based in Europe. These tend to be a little bit more American oriented in this training for the wellness training specifically. This is one that's in Greece. It is in the Peloponnese. So we see whether you're European and this is your equivalent of going to a Miraval, Arizona, because it's a short flight for a lot of folks. Or what we've seen is people including this as part of their trip to Greece. So maybe they go and they do their bigger trip. They're out in Mykonos, they're having fun, and then they like do a little like sort of wellness oriented stuff at the end of the trip at Euphoria. So we get great feedback. You're doing Pilates, you're doing all of that. That's fantastic. And then Miraval. Miraval is maybe our top wellness brand overall if you were adding them all up. Miraval. It is in the Berkshires, it is in Arizona, it is in Austin. Austin one, I've had so many groups and couples really like it because it's like you're close to Austin. Maybe you combine it with time in the city. We love eating and drinking there and the music scene. And then you have a little bit of wellness out there. Also, apparently the bartender's fantastic at Miraval, Arizona. Berkshires, I love in the winter. You can drive up there. It's really easy for the East Coasters. So if you're from New York or you're from Boston, that was my first Miraval that I went to. You can drive there really easily. A lot of it is indoors. So if it's really terrible weather outside, they still will do the hiking out in the snow, all of that. But you can also like be inside on a like sort of crappy weather weekend and be really active and feel really good. That's what I did. I went up for a February weekend, 2 nights, one of the best decisions I've ever made. And then they have the Arizona one, which is probably the most beautiful one. And that's in Tucson. Lots of choices there and really easy way to kind of get that entry point where there's a lot of options there. Remember to make sure that you talk to your clients about this too, because I remember when I went to the Miraval in Berkshires and I was like posting about it, I had clients being like, oh my God, like I was just there or I'm going next weekend. And I was like, oh, why didn't you book it with me? And they're like, we had no idea we could book this with you. And I was like, well, yeah. And you would have gotten like more credit to spend in their very fantastic spa. So, or on their classes. They're really well known for their like horse therapy stuff, which is super cool. So make sure that you remind people that this kind of trip is something that you can book as well, because particularly with these easy entry that people are just getting started, they may not know necessarily what are the differences, but also that they can book them with you. Sensei at Lanai is another one. This is like a really great sort of more serious spa, but it's at the Four Seasons Lanai. They're two separate resorts. So Sensei is over here. It's about 20 minutes from the beach. And then the Four Seasons Lanai is much more of sort of just a traditional resort. You're not going in between them. But for those who, again, we've seen people add it on, they're at Four Seasons with the family. And then, maybe one of the parents or the grandparents stay on a little bit longer and they do Sensei afterwards. And then there's also the Sensei that's just a standalone outside of Palm Springs. So lots of those there. And then Six Senses Doro Valley too, another one where you've got great wine, but you've got great wellness. Let's move into the Medi spas. This is a harder sell, sort of more of a European concept. A lot of American clients are kind of confused about what it is. So let's talk about how to present this to them. This is going to be a more advanced treatment. So they're going to be luxury hotels, but it's a little bit more like there's blood work. I did brain mapping. Like there's all of this stuff that's going along with it that's a little bit more advanced. I know people, and I wish I were this person because it's so great. the like your yearly doctor appointment that you're supposed to go to and you like actually never get around to doing your physical, you can do that here. This can be your like once a year, you go, you spend a week, you eat really healthy, you do all of your general checkups. And there are folks who that's what they do. What a life. And then a lot of them focus on longevity, on sort of anti-aging, both from the aesthetic side as well as more from the, health oriented side. And then some other stuff, which we'll talk about specifically with one resort. So who to book? These are people who are a little bit more focused on, I want a real spa, like medical spa. I mean, obviously it's a med spa, but who want something serious? This is not dabbling. This is probably not their first time doing one of these, but once they do it, people are hooked. So this is kind of like you get with people. It's like once they go on a safari once, then they're like, well, great, I did Kenya. I can't wait to go back. I'll do Botswana. This is the kind of trip where once you get somebody to do it once, they're going to keep going back, perhaps to the same place, perhaps to new places, but it's a great thing for sort of encouraging repeat business. And they are expensive. This is not for somebody who isn't ready to kind of invest in wellness. Where are we staying? These are the most popular places. We've already talked about Shah. This is the original Shah that is down in Alicante. This tends to be a longer program. The one in Mexico tends to be a little bit more flexible. So know that. And actually, I should mention the Ranch Malibu that we talked about that has that week-long program. The new one that they opened in Hudson Valley has 3 and 4 day programs. So I think one of the trends that we're seeing is wellness has just become so important to everybody that a lot of the properties that are offering it are realizing that it's important to have some flexibility too to engage travelers if it's their first time. But the Shaw in Alicante is going to be a little bit like more of a longer program. I think it's like 5-6 nights or longer if you want it. Working their way up, Lancerhof, their focus is, it's an Austrian med spa brand. Their focus is more on digestive health. So they really talk about like gut health, which I think we hear about a lot in the news right now. I'm going to go back up to the top because I'm going to finish on Clinique La Prairie because this one's kind of interesting. Chenot Palace, such good feedback, but more sort of traditional med spa, detoxing. You're eating well, you're drinking a lot of water, you're getting your massages, you're also getting your blood work done. They're really looking at your nutrition and like sort of how's your health? Now, Clinique La Prairie. Clinique La Prairie is you can pick and choose what you want here. You can come and just get massages and that's fine, but really what they're known for are their programs, which are generally around a week. You can decide what's your program. Are you focused on weight loss? Are you focused on sort of rejuvenation? What do you want to get done? They also do plastic surgery. Now, this is a difficult conversation to have with a client because you don't want to be like, girl, do you want a facelift? But if somebody brings it to you, it is commissionable. So you can actually, if you have a client who's interested in really coming back as a better version of themselves, you can book that at Clinique La Prairie and you can earn commission on plastic surgery, Botox, fillers, you name it. Again, slightly delicate, like how do you bring that up to a client? But often, again, it's our jobs to know our clients well. When they bring it up, this is a place that actually you can assist with booking it and can earn commission on it. Also, you can just go and get great massages and great food, and it's a beautiful place. And that's that. One of the things I actually asked them the last time I met with them is that for so many travelers, the idea of like being fully offline is really hard, right? Like they have jobs, they have to dial in on things. They're too like somebody who can afford this is like probably too important to just be like, check it out, and we'll never hear from you for a week. They can adjust their programming. If you say, listen, I've got a client and they want to come, but they need to be available for these hours every single day because they have meetings or calls that they have to do for work. They can do that. So I thought that was a helpful thing because I actually hadn't thought of that before. And it had one client almost book it and then not because she was like, my job is too busy. I need too much flexibility. So they can't do that. And I see the question, are there other hotels that offer commission on procedures? I don't think so. No, or maybe, but I haven't seen them before. And that is why it's just one of those things, like we all get the giggles, like, oh my God, we're going to earn commissions on a boob job. But like, it is the one place they will talk to you about it. And so it's just good to know. All right, city spas. I love the rise of serious city spas because this is really the ultimate flexibility, right? Like sometimes even just trying to get away for, a weekend can be a little bit hard or getting in a car to go somewhere, getting on a flight. City spas have become much more real in the sense of it's not just like, oh, a place you can get a facial, but it's like maybe a little bit more expensive than the facial place that you normally go to, but feels a little bit more luxy. City spas have become part of the offerings of many of these hotel groups that are like really leveling up the wellness offerings. They will talk through some of the ones that I really like the most, but really it makes it flexible, it makes it convenient, and you can still really get those tailored treatments depending on what they're looking for. Great for a staycation, great for a couple who needs like an easy getaway, great for somebody who may not even be traveling to go there and may not even be staying in the hotel. So it might be somebody who, they live in London and this is what they're going to go do. So really for that convenience driven client. And it also, again, kind of that like, let me just check into this stuff and learn about it. New York City. Equinox. The Equinox Hotel, obviously related to the Equinox brand of gym, has an incredible sort of but serious spa with the chirotherapy. I don't do anything that makes me cold, so I've never done that. But serious fitness facilities, serious spa facilities. The rooms are beautiful. So I've actually booked a lot of people here for staycations, like people who live outside the city and they come in and they do a night or two at the Equinox Hotel. And it's really oriented towards wellness. It's a great hotel. Even they make sure they have all these things where like they don't have any LED lights in the room so you can really sleep. So go there. You can also go there on business and have access to this great spa, but a really serious spa that's in a really easy to access hotel. Four Seasons Westlake, left coast. This is the Four Seasons that is not in, so in LA, you have two Four Seasons, the Beverly Wilshire and the Four Seasons LA, that are very close to each other in Beverly Hills. And then you have the Four Seasons Westlake, which is just north going out, state of the art spa, real doctors on site, real nutrition consultants. They have actual set programs that you can check in for. They have hiking. It's not far from the city, but you have a different experience, but really, really serious wellness there. And then the Emery. Emery is one of our favorite hotels, sister brand. So the Barclay in Knightsbridge, which we book a ton of, they launched the Emery right next door, part of Mayborn Group recently. Huge suites, really beautiful, and this incredible wellness program that they brought into the hotel. They are expanding this, by the way, into the Mayborn Riviera. So Mayborn Hotel, you've got Barclay, Connaught, Claridge's in London, now the Emery. So then now they have four in London, and then they've got the Mayborn in LA, which I'm obsessed with, and now and the Mayborn Riviera, which now that I've seen it, I would say it's like on par with any of the best hotels in Europe. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful outside of Monaco. And now the Emery Spa, which I'm blanking on the name, but they have a very serious name to it too. It's like a real deal sort of wellness. They are blowing out a bunch of suites as we talk in the Mayborn Riviera. And they will launch the same program there when they reopen in June. So that's also for like the south of France, for somebody who wants to sort of be there on the Riviera and like have their rosé filled days, but also do some wellness. That's going to be there too. So I think those city hotels, it's just a great way to let people engage with it a little bit or a lot while they're sort of learning. The remote spas. These are ones that are for somebody who's like, I want to check out. I want to go somewhere else. I want to be far away. This is actually for the person who's the opposite of my client with Clinique La Prairie, who's going, I am not getting on any Zoom calls. I've seen these really come up a lot when somebody is like hitting a big moment in life. So I am retiring. I am going through a divorce. I am, having a sort of a big birthday. These tend to be places where somebody's sort of like introspective and wants to really like mark that occasion. That's often when these will come up. Like when you're thinking, it's like it's such a different moment for each client. Like, I just need a little quick getaway, or like, I've never tried this before, or like, I actually want somebody to like do my yearly checkup and have that. This is like typically more of like, I'm at a moment, a pivotal moment in my life, and I'm going to go to one of these spots. They tend to be places people often are doing more as solo travelers. This is like, yes, people go together, but I see most of the time, and again, you can book anybody here, but it is that sort of digital detox kind of solo traveler. I'm getting away from my life and like checking in on myself. Where are they going? Como Shambhala one is great because, as we talked about before, that is in Bali. It's in a beautiful area. And so you can go in and maybe you spend some time in Bali, like, especially if you're having this around sort of a big birthday kind of thing. Maybe they like have a group trip to Bali and they're celebrating, and then they go up there afterwards to just do this. You can stay there with other people too. But one that's it's far flung but still feels a little bit connected in. Chivasam and Ananda are two of the most well known that are not checked in anywhere. These are really serious programs. You are meditating every day. You are doing your therapy in both the physical and the mental way. And I think the clients that I like, honestly, I haven't had a ton of clients go there because it's so specific, but the clients that we have come back really feeling like changed a little bit in a really nice way. I would also add in places like like Bhutan, like where you're really getting out there and you see people going less for the sort of adventure of it and more for the spirituality and for the food and for the sort of, it is like a renewal more than it is a vacation. So hopefully that helps when you think about who you're presenting these to, because I do think there's like a moment in everybody's lives where one of these things fits for them. So you can kind of like sell this to anybody, but it's a different moment, because if you say to the person who wants something easy, there's this great place in the Himalayas, it's called Ananda. Like, like eat vegetables and not talk for, a week. They might be like, what? But I think for these ones, it really is very special. That's a general overview of like the buckets of wellness. These are not in any way ones that are the only ones in the world, because we'd just be talking forever. It's more, I think, with this one often about learning what kind of wellness trip is your client looking for. And then here's some examples, but then you can dig in a little bit deeper. Now, what to know though when you're booking these, because it isn't just like a book it and forget it kind of thing. You do need to plan for all of this in advance. Often it's good to get your clients involved in the planning too. So the treatments, you can get them the menus, you can talk to them about the programming, what are options. I like to ask when I'm booking for a client, I like to ask the hotel, like, what are the most popular treatments? What are the ones that they shouldn't miss? Because those are the things that get booked up and you're going to want to plan it ahead of time. So now again, you can be planning for your client. However, I do think often it's good at a certain point to put the client in touch, because most of these places have very specific planners that work with the guests. And so it's good to have them there directly. And just also in case there's something that your client doesn't feel like totally comfortable sharing with you, but they might talk to sort of the therapists there about, in terms of like, oh, I have this injury, or that kind of stuff. Mindset prep. You actually should advise your clients, even if it's something easy. Hey, don't forget to like let your team know or let your family know that you're going to be away. You're going to really try to like check out for a minute. Even at Miraval, which is such an easy entry spa, you're not allowed to have your phone out around the property. And you know what? It's awesome. Like, you're not out there, waving your phone around, taking pictures of your food. It stays in your room. So you can still be in your room and on Wi-Fi and check in and do your work. But there's something really refreshing about actually saying like, I'm just like not allowed to have it, and I'm not going to take pictures of stuff, and I'm going to check out a little bit. But remind your clients that these are some of the, like, find out what the limitations are in terms of technology at the resort that you're booking them in. Let them know so that they can prepare for it. And then health prep. It does matter. I, as a dedicated Diet Coke drinker, Coke Zero technically, have been told that the worst detoxers are the Diet Coke detoxers. It's actually not the getting off caffeine, it's getting off that. So let them know, hey, these are the restrictions that you're going to have in terms of food. They're not going to be serving this. And so that generally, and again, the spas will share this kind of documentation to you to pass on to them. But that sort of pre-trip prep, in terms of whether it's like leveling up on your fitness before you go, or just starting to level down on maybe your like 4 cups of coffee a day, just so that you don't spend your first couple days with a terrible caffeine headache. So all of this kind of stuff are things that you do need to plan ahead for. Packing light. There's most of these places. I mean, I saw people, I don't agree with this, with the sitting at dinner in a bathrobe. Put your clothes on, at least for dinner. But you will see people sitting around in these spa resorts at meals in bathrooms. You don't need to bring heels. You don't need to bring anything fancy. I would say, just let them know it's really more sort of casual. If you are going to a place that is heavy on hiking, don't buy your hiking boots like a day before. Encourage your clients to be getting that gear and breaking it in so that they're really comfortable. And then, yeah, this, check ahead if there's something like weather. Okay, Malibu in January, it might be sunny and really warm during the day, and you're out hiking and you're down in a t-shirt, but it's quite cool at night. So making sure you just give them all of that information so that they are prepared. I actually like that this photo has a picture of somebody with a backpack in it, because if you are going to a place where there is hiking, and this is for any trip, not just a wellness trip, I think it's important to know whether or not the property provides a backpack for guests to use or not. Because I have been on like my own trips where I thought there might be like some sort of pack in the room and there's not. And then you're like, oh, how am I carrying my stuff? So there are like great hiking backpacks that are really flat and don't take up a lot of space. Find out what kind of stuff is provided by the hotel, and so that they can make sure that they bring something that's out. Now, all-inclusive pricing. Let me think for a minute. Yeah, most, if not all of these are all-inclusive in terms of your food and inclusive of your drinks, non-alcoholic. Any place that the alcohol is served is not inclusive. For the most of it, like your food is kind of covered. The treatments, it depends. So again, this is like a really like, no one is relaxing if they've got surprises on pricing. So this is the kind of thing you want to make sure it's very clear when you're talking to your clients. If you're talking about the ranch, that massage is included every day. Those classes are included every day. If you're talking about like Canyon Ranch, there are things that are included in terms of the activities and there are things that are add-ons. So that's where our credits that we bring in obviously matter a lot. So just really review those inclusions, even down to the airport transfers. What is included and what isn't? I think that's kind of the important thing to just give people as a heads up. And hopefully that just makes you feel a little bit more confident too about like what questions to ask when you're booking these, like when you're just talking to the hotel. Like if you're like, I like to get on the phone, I just call reservations. Hey, what do I need to know? And so these are the questions though to take to your client. What are they really looking for? And that is often when they say, like, I want a spa. I'm like, let's talk through this. Like, what are you really thinking? And again, getting on the phone and saying, how much time do you have? How far do you want to travel? Do you want to be with other people? Do you want to not be with other people? All of that is kind of how you help take them from here down to here. Kind of like when people, I guess it's not that dissimilar. And they say, I want to go on a vacation to a great beach. What does that mean? Is a great beach Miami Beach? Is a great beach like a beach with no one on it, at Parrot Key? Like what is a great beach for you? So I think the same thing with spa and wellness means something very, very different. What goals do you have out of this? And I think that's a good question to ask. Like if it's the perfect trip for you at the end, what are you feeling? Are you feeling like I detoxed, I came back super healthy, I like learned something new that I'm going to incorporate into my diet? I'm going to eat more of this. Are you looking for like, I got my medical stuff done for the year? Are you looking for, I came back and I look 10 years younger? I don't know. Ask them the questions. What does success look like for them out of this trip? Because that is really what's going to make it great. And how far the travel is. I think that makes such a difference. The additional, like, amenities, I do think that is important. If you think about something like Shaw opening in Mexico, they are in a part where they're right in front of one of the largest reefs. So, like, you can do another activity there. You can go there and do all the wellness, and then you can, like, throw in a snorkel mask in the afternoon. You can go out and do some incredible snorkeling. Finding out if there's things that they want to do in addition to what they're there to do, that it's like they're not just going to be Miraval and Berkshires. You go there on a weekend in February, you're just like you're just inside, you're doing that. That's fine. That's the point that you came there. But if they're traveling somewhere farther, knowing, are there things they want to add on? Do they have a setting that they're looking for? Does it make them calmer to look at the ocean in the morning? Does it make them calmer to look at the mountains? Like what are they really looking for? And then, of course, budget. These aren't inexpensive. The least expensive way to engage is like a city spa where you're starting off there. But everything else is going to be like not an inexpensive trip. So I think really finding out what budget they're looking at and thinking about how do you make sure you're incorporating that along with their trip planning, like with everything. That is a lot about wellness. Let's talk about if not wellness travel, because this does come up where they're like, oh, actually, you know what? I'm not really sure if that's kind of what I'm looking for this time. Cool. No waste of time. You went through it. They learned about it. They'll come back and book it later. But what are the other ones? Culinary travel. So what they might realize is like, actually, I just want to go somewhere and like really relax. So it's like Napa Valley and wine tasting or like street food tours, Michelin star dining, whatever it is. Sometimes you find that actually their version of wellness is how do I just really enjoy myself, but not in like a party scene kind of way. So culinary travel, more nature oriented stuff. Obviously, we got a lot of this with Costa Rica. They're like, actually, I just want to go. It's not even about the beach. I want to be up in the rainforest. Origins Lodge, by the way, is a great one in Costa Rica that also does really good yoga retreats. And it's very small. It's a beautiful setting. People don't talk about it that much. Really small. Only has like 6 casitas and 1 3-bedroom villa. So great for couples, great for solo travelers. And they do some great yoga retreats. So sometimes it's like, actually, I want a little bit of that. But really what I just want is like be in nature and kind of be away from things. Sports travel, people who want something that is, I know we say yoga retreats here often, something more adventurous. So like I want to go biking, do Vine bike tours, amazing. Backroads bike tours, amazing. Or I want to climb Kilimanjaro. I just sent information over to a group of women who reached out. They're all turning 50. They all want to climb Kili for their 50th birthday. Awesome. Like, so sometimes it's more that sort of sports oriented stuff, not necessarily watching them, but doing them. Even marathon running. Like we've seen groups of people, one of our advisors, she is herself a marathon runner. And so she'll bring like her running group and they all went to Tokyo and ran the Tokyo Marathon together. So that sports oriented travel, again, it is wellness travel. I mean, wellness travel can be anything, right? If it makes you feel good, but it's something that's much more fitness oriented than just the fitness at the spa. And yeah, creative retreats. Sometimes that wellness is really focused. I want to learn to cook something. I want to learn to create something. So that can be really helpful. I see the question about budget range. Oh, it's so hard. I actually don't know off the top of my head, but I would say this is like probably when you're talking about all in, probably like a $700-800 a night thing. Now that again, that often is all inclusive where it's like, yes, but that's all your food. And so it's probably more the equivalent of like a $400 a night hotel because you've got all this other stuff that's already in there. But this is not for somebody who's like, I want to spend $200 a night. I think we got to most things. We are going to wrap up. Thank you guys for coming and hanging with us. We try to plan these around either what people are booking right now or around trends we're seeing and trends you should know about. So wellness, obviously, we're doing this as the first one because we want you to be prepared for like, let's capture some of this business. Go out and get it. This is what people are doing right now. We see it in the data and we want you to be a part of it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you next week. Bye.